Job approval time, SEC job approval. What do fan bases think about these head coaches? Is there any hot seat situation in the SEC right now? Well, there's not in Athens, Georgia. We start with Kirby Smart. Kirby would be at an A+ pretty much anywhere else. I think he's a prisoner of his own success a little bit, so his grade would just be an A, which is like one notch down from A+. This has obviously been the best era in the history of Georgia football. His program's got the highest floor of any program year over year in the conference. It's like you could just bank on 10 wins minimum. Now, it's a new SEC, so no one could bank on 10 wins minimum anymore. No one can do that. But up until 5 minutes ago, Kirby and Georgia could do it. I think he's a little bit of a prisoner of his own success in that, they've made the playoffs back-to-back years. They've won the SEC back-to-back years. And once upon a time, that would be ticker tape parade stuff. But now since they win so much, it's just what we do, quote unquote. And then you take a more fine-tooth comb through the situation. So, like Georgia fan up in Dahlonega, if this were to be happening 15 years ago, would be slam dunk, A+, turn the ballot in. Now it's, I'm glad that we won the SEC back-to-back years. And I appreciate the style of play. And I appreciate that we've made the playoff, but we got beat by Notre Dame. And then Trinidad Chambliss beat us last year. Defense really failed us. And also, Mike Bobo, man. And there's nothing following that. It's just Mike Bobo, man, period. So I'm going to bump him down to an A. That, I think, if you were to take 1,000 fan sample size amongst our Georgia friends, you'd probably hear a fair amount of that. I'm not claiming he's perfect. I'm just claiming I think he's doing the best job in the conference right now. So he'd be an A+ for me. I think he would grade out at an A. What about Josh Heupel at Tennessee? And we struggled on this one. So again, what I'm trying to do here is figure out if we took a poll of 1,000 fans, not like fringe minority either way, the core of the fan base, and they graded the head coach, what would he grade out at? I think Heupel would be at a B- here. But this is very, very fluid. I could see it being anywhere from a C+ to a B+. And it really all depends on probably your age. Because if you're 45 years old and you can remember the Derek Dooley era, and you can remember the Butch Jones era, you can remember several eras that weren't much of anything, and you know how long it's been since Phil Fulmer roamed the sidelines there. You know how long it's been since you had a streak going against Alabama instead of them rattling off like 15 in a row against you up until recently. If you are of that age, you're probably closer to B or B+. Because Heupel pulled him out of the ditch. And I don't mean one wheel in the ditch. I mean on the roof in the ditch. And he got the tow truck and he hooked the hooks into it and got the bus back out on the road. And it's moving fairly well, too. They had a couple of double-digit win seasons his first couple of years there. They ended the streak against Bama. They've beat them in 22 and 24. I thought that banked a ton of equity for him. They've made the playoff. Now, they got blown out, so I just listed all the positives. Some of the negatives start to seep in. I think more of the C+ B- crowd would tell you, okay, yeah, we made the playoff, but 12 teams make the playoff now. And we've made it once, and we got blown out. So another way to say that? He's half a decade in, and we have no playoff wins to show for him here. He's half a decade in, we haven't made it to Atlanta to play for the SEC championship. Those things are true. It's pretty hard to do, but those things are true. The wild card, this is where it gets really fluid. Hey guys, do me one favor. Check and see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you are, great. If you're not, it's that easy. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't sign you up for anything. It just helps us do the show this way forever. All right, back to the clip. The wild card is the way he handled the Nico Iamaleava stuff last year, I thought was interpreted really well by the fan base, and they understood. We're proud of the way he just handled this. He didn't allow a kid or his representation to hold the program hostage. He said, see you later. If that means we lose a couple of more games this year, okay. And they went 8-5, and it wasn't a disastrous 8-5 either. There weren't a bunch of blowouts there. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but I still think you're left wanting more. And so I still think people look in the totality of it, and they look at what Curt Cignetti just did, and they understand in this day and age, when you can just do it overnight, you can flip it overnight. you have to look and say, all right, look, we're willing to have some level of understanding here, but still, man, you're not getting B+ or A- out of me until you've got a playoff win, until we host one of those things here. So I think B-. Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State. I consulted some people very close to the program today who shall remain nameless per their request because I had to get a feel of where Mississippi State fans were on Jeff Lebby. Now, my best guess is that he would land at a C+. In my personal opinion, I would go B- to maybe even B because of where the program was and then the fact that he pulled them from 2-10 in his first year to 5-8 last year. But last year, the 5-8 included one possession losses to Texas, to Tennessee, and to Florida. So it was one of those teams that was probably a lot better than the record indicated they were. Now, that's the so far. So I think maybe the fan base would look and say, we don't care, we lost the games. I don't ever look at it that way, especially with Mississippi State. If it was Georgia, I would look at it that way. You lost close to Texas? Okay, you're Georgia. That's a loss. Tennessee? You're Georgia. That's a loss. I don't look at Mississippi State the same way. So I'd put him in a B-, maybe even a B. But I understand if the fan base would go C+. Now, they got a lot to prove this year because there's a ton of churn on the roster there, but it could all be covered up with either development, evaluation, or Kamario Taylor going off at quarterback, or ideally all of the three, in which case Mississippi State's like the surprise of the league. So C+, and I will grant you, I expect pushback on this because there's a Mississippi State fan out there that would put an A- on him right now. But I promise you, sir or ma'am, in Tupelo, or Natchez, or Hattiesburg, what have you, Philadelphia, Yazoo City, I just name them. I can assure you that as much as you want to give him an A-, I received correspondence in the C- range. So there would be a wide range, and I had to, average it out. So that's where we are on Jeff Lebby right now. Every Saturday, I wake up, and before I even put my contacts in, I use one eye, and I scroll, index finger like this, through the iJosh, and I find the cornfield picture. And I tweet it out with a reminder of how many Saturdays we are from college football season. Alex and allegedly producer Jesse, looked at that and said, well, if that means college football is coming eventually, and we've got the Pate State store over here just sitting there with infinite amounts of shelf space, why shouldn't we put representation about college football approaching in the store? And then they found out that Savannah State has recently gotten me to watch Game of Thrones. Very recently. It's a new thing. I don't know what to think about it yet. But what I do know is whatever winter is coming means is of secondary concern to me at the moment. Because college football coming is of primary concern. And as you can see here, we have brand new items, not merch, items in the Pate State store to signify that. Football is coming, ladies and gentlemen. It will be here. Now, in the meantime, we can have a lot of fun. Just a sun-filled, vacation-filled summer. And there's also a new shirt for the Pate State Summer Series, which is just made up right now. But yeah, we got two new items in the Pate State store, PateStateMaterial.com. Jesse predicts that the Football is Coming shirt will be our biggest mover of the month. I think you've got an unfair advantage because it's a new item, so I'm not betting him on it. But yeah, I already bought the sleeveless version. I had Alex make sleeveless versions, by the way. I know our audience. Jesse may not lift, but our audience lifts.